Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we have to talk about Linux projects such as the distribution, desktop environment application. We also chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community. Anything that's Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. Get that like the pre-show. What is it? What is it? What the kids do this? I don't know what it means. Anyway, anything that's Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. I think my mic is okay. Looks all right. Everything looks fine here. How is everybody?
Good.
Excellent.
Super.
Just fine.
Fantastic. So it's a Saturday. It's the 18th of April. I want to just throw it here real quick before we get started. Next week we're going to have a Linux Saloon early edition. So if you want to join us for the for our European friends, our friends across the pond can join, or even those in the that time zone. So feel free to join next week. It's on the Linux Saloon calendar. Go to linuxsaloon.com or cubicallate.com/Linux Saloon to get it there. You can also join the Telegram group or Discord if you want to chat throughout the week. Ava Schmidt, not 6'7". I don't know what that's about. Anyway, if you'd be so kind, hit that like button, subscribe. But better yet, join the chat here on Discord. Show your face or avatar. Either is fine. Provide your voice input. And do your best to ensure that I talk less. Wait, see if I drop the T off best. Do your best. Anyway, on the topic for today, we're going to be talking about our native versus universal packages in Linux, when you use them, how you use them, if you use them, and what you think is the best practice. And so it's just gonna be kind of like this is a little bit more like an open mic night with a targeted topic, if that makes any sense. So I love opinions that are different than mine, because I think it makes it a lot more interesting when you have some different viewpoints of what you think works best. Kind of challenge one's own perceptions and yada yada something SSD. Okay. So with that said, if you haven't done the StrawPoll yet, be sure to do so, cubicallate.com/polls. And we're going to get to that. It's about universal packages, so go ahead and check that out. And then also, then we'll get to what are we doing in Linux and tech. Uh-oh, my mouse isn't scrolling. Oh, there it is. All right, we woke up again. That's what's going on there. What have we doing Linux and tech? Did anybody have anything exciting they're doing in their world of technology this week? We haven't heard from I know we haven't heard from Dale in a while, so maybe he's got something really exciting, earth-shattering. You're welcome for not prepping you ahead of time on this.
So actually, I am testing Ubuntu proper 26.04 on my test machine. It's got an NVIDIA card in it. And I'm going to do a video soon of what I think about Ubuntu these days. Because if you search on YouTube, you'll see a bunch of videos that say it's the best ever, and you'll see a bunch of videos saying it's the worst ever. And so I'm putting it to the test.
Well, I think you'll have a nice balanced view of it because, well, I know you do use the best Linux distribution ever conceived of. Or best spin of operating system ever used, ever conceived. So I can trust your opinion.
Well, thank you for that. And I am running whatever it decides to install. That's what I'm installing, and I'm currently testing the Snap version of Steam. And it's working pretty good. So,
wow.
But more to come.
Now, here's the question I would have on that. Does I know that there's something I read somewhere about how the Flatpak version of Steam does have a performance penalty, and I'm not sure if Snaps has the same encumbrance or if it's a whole different ball of wax on that one. I don't know if it's something that you would know how to test, or anybody here would know how to test such a thing. Because I don't play any games that are particularly aggressive.
I do.
I could probably add that to the test since I'm already running Snap. I can take the snap off and change it to Flatpak and try it and see what it does.
I have I run the snap of Steam. I haven't noticed any performance penalty, but then again, I play games that are like 10 years old. I hardly ever play any current AAA titles. Generally, I'm playing retro titles. So, but
You're
I
not old
haven't
enough to be
noticed any
retro.
performance penalty.
Never had a real problem with the Steam Flatpak. I never noticed a performance difference. I'm running the native now, but
It was something that I read somewhere. I think it might have been a Phoronix article, but I could be. I don't want to misattribute that to Phoronix, whatever. If that's not the case where I read it, but there was somewhere where I did read that there was an issue with some performance issues, which is why Bazite has the native packages, not the Flatpak version of Steam installed by default.
I know a couple of years ago that the Steam version of, or the Snap version of Steam was not recommended, and that's one reason I'm testing it to see if it. I think they fixed it. I'm assuming they have, and it's running good. So I'll let you know.
Oh, that's cool. And then I had one other question for you. I remember what I was going to talk to you about last week, but then you left because you had to. Did you ever happen to try that Hyperland on Tumbleweed?
I didn't.
You didn't.
I have let you down.
No. You have not, because I totally even forgot about it, and so I let myself down, if anything.
$1 per person toll.
Is that what the going rate is now?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Anybody have anything else on that, as far as like Ubuntu experience? I know that I think I don't. What's that?
It's been, yeah, I actually have yet to try the Ubuntu 26.04. I did download the Ubuntu daily build ISO. And like Dale, I've been seeing a lot of mixed reviews on it, but I plan to try it out here very soon, maybe after the show on one of my machines, and give it a brief look, because I have wanted to take a look at it and see how good or bad it really is. So
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't have any problems in a VM on 26. Stuff like that. All I've noticed is that they're trying something new this LTS, because it's no longer quote unquote GNU/Linux, because they've replaced the core utils in it with UUtils instead of GNU. So they've got that going. But then again, 25.10 is when they 25.10 is when they started that. And honestly, I've run 25.10. I didn't even notice the difference until I looked up a man page and found it. So, but yeah, apparently, yeah, they're swapping out GNU for the UUtils.
Are they removing the GNU utils?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're completely swapping them out. There's only a couple of them, because a couple of the core utils for UUtils are not ready yet. But things like MV and all that stuff, those are all now switched over to the Rust version UUtils.
Gotcha.
So I read some conflicting
yeah.
things, and I know that there's like everyone has an axe to grind, and sometimes people like to, when they do whatever research they're doing, anything that goes against what the agenda was, they'll just kind of remove those bits of information. So I've read both directions, that the using the non-GNU core utils was a better performing system, less memory usage, stuff like that. And I've read also the opposite. I don't have any of those articles to cite. Actually, one of them that I could cite, I'm not going to. That was anti the non-GNU tools. But I'm kind of curious to know like what the real ground truth is, and I think some independent testing would probably be interesting to see. Maybe it has to do with workloads. Different workloads might actually behave better, and that it might be one of those situations. But does anybody? I don't know. Does it bother anybody like going away from the GNU tools? Is that a concern?
Not for
Well,
me. As long as it works, I don't care what they use.
With the
Well, with
GNU
me,
and with GNU.
yeah.
Well,
I'm just like, with me, honestly, I don't give a rat's butt what's in the background running things as long as it works. But like I said, I didn't even notice anything different because it's all backwards compatible. So as long as it works, I don't care.
What are you gonna say, Hipdan, on that?
I was just making a smart ass comment of out with the GNU and in with the new.
Yeah.
well, as long as it doesn't break people's scripts and things like that, it doesn't really matter to me, you know. But I just read.
I'm kind of the same way. Sorry, Mike. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm kind of the same way about this kind of thing. As long as it works, who the heck cares?
Yeah, I just read on the Canonical community forum, I got it pulled up right now, that you will be able to still install GNU tools and use them if you choose to.
Yeah, you can switch them out because they're not removing them from the repository at all. But when I was looking up utils on the GitHub, if there's a problem that where something can't be done on utils, but it can be done on GNU, that's treated as a bug because they're trying to make it 100% backwards compatible. So your script should still work and all of that. Honestly, I didn't honestly, like I said, I never noticed the difference until I looked at a man page. So I guess that's good.
So I guess I don't understand what the push is. Like what's the agenda? Why recreate the GNU tools? Why not put effort under one? Is there that's my concern. Is what's the push?
Well, according to the GitHub, there's a couple quote unquote problems with it because it was written in C and the utils are written in Rust. So and Rust is has a memory safe language, so it prevents memory leaks that you could have with GNU, and also they say it's more efficient with memory.
Yeah, that's not true. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now.
Do tell, Mike.
Yeah, Rust is a memory safe language, but if you're not using those tools correctly in the language, you can have exactly the same problems that they have in C. So
yeah, well, nothing's perfect, but that's their goal at least.
Yeah, I understand. I kind of feel like, I mean, being amongst developers quite a bit and listening to them talk and go on about things, there's almost like a religious fever about Rust to replace C. And I don't have a problem with Rust taking over, but there's still a lot of standardization to do in Rust that has not been done, okay? So the language is not rock solid. Number two, C's been around since the 60s, and all those utilities have a huge legacy of debugging and optimizing, and we basically just threw all that out the door, you know. So
yeah, I mean, the project's only a couple years old. I mean, maybe Ubuntu's jumping the gun a little bit, but honestly, I still think it's kind of cool they're trying something new.
Well, as long as it doesn't break things, I'm so cool.
Some of the detractors of it have pointed out that moving to Rust is solving problems that the GNU utils don't have, and therefore shouldn't be replaced with them. But That's just what I've heard.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the general consensus among most developers. I think that the ones that you see pushing this are the ones that are really trying to push Rust. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think they get a little overzealous sometimes, and maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to make a change. But
there's also the reality that many of the upcoming devs that will be joining the open source community may not have C experience, but may have Rust experience.
right.
And so that if you want these things to extend into the future, you kind of have to meet developers where they're at and not just cling to the existing thing because it's always been there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Linus Torvalds has said about the kernel. He says, I don't like it, but it doesn't mean nobody else can like it.
Right.
Well, I'm going to play the old guy that doesn't really read documentation that well. What exactly is the GNU utilities and what does it do?
All of the tools.
Okay, I can answer that.
Well, let me step in for just a second.
You can. You probably can.
All of the tools that you have, like that are included, like grep, move, ls, all of those tools that you use in the command prompt in a terminal, most of those are GNU utilities.
Okay.
They're kind of the same ones that were always distributed, like with Unix back in the day.
I mean, do those like continue to allow you to use a lot of the old stuff like latex and awk?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. As long as they're compatible with those, it shouldn't be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of the core binding components of the operating system. It's a huge piece of it. So, I think my thing is when looking at the libraries, I really don't. I mean, I think competition's good. I do believe that. You know, if you have two projects, the one that I don't want to say is necessarily better, but the one that's better. That's not a good word to use, but the one that's better will win out, or it'll kind of leapfrog, kind of the AMD Intel situation. So I guess we'll see. I think having diversity there of pieces of it's probably not a bad thing. So long as it doesn't break software. But yeah, no, I did also read, or maybe I saw on a YouTube something to dovetail on what Adam said about how a lot of upcoming developers are not learning C, they're actually learning Rust. And that's for an article about how never C++ in the kernel too. I don't know why that one, but anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe
C and C++ are very, very, very different languages. C++ was developed to build larger applications, whereas C was mostly used as a low level, or has been used as a low level language to do, kernel calls and API calls and things like that. So there's a lot of overhead with C++. It's not there with C.
Now, is C# used in Linux any?
No. Maybe one day, but not out anytime soon. Yeah.
I think there's probably some C# applications. I'm sure there are, but not in the kernel. So, well, all right. Well, I guess we got to move on to the StrawPoll. So the StrawPoll, if you haven't done the StrawPoll yet, it's cubiclenet.com/polls. But it is, what is your opinion on unified package managers? So it actually encompasses quite a few different package managers.
A quick definition of what do you mean by unified package manager, because what I took it as is package manager that has AUR available, Snap available, Flatpak available, AppImage available, Deb available? Is it like all that included in one package manager?
So there's a little bit of ambiguity in that, but in a nutshell, it's allows you to use the same commands to interact with different package managers. So for example, this is what I would put that under a Discover, something like Discover or GNOME software would be like a unified manager of packages. So you can, and also a Discover can actually, it works on both apt and RPM. Sorry, it works on RPM and Deb. So it has a connection so that it can just pull, say, hey, I need this package, and so the package kit actually takes care of that. So, but it pulls the actual it pulls the package manager on the back end. It just how it handles it on the front end. So for instance, like one view to look at all of your applications. We'll look at it that way. So, and we're going to go ahead and look at that StrawPoll. If you haven't done so already, give you a couple of moments here. So Text Penguin did get some votes. Let me just refresh here. All right. So 26% say not sure what they are. 20% say never tried them, but I'm interested in them. And 16% say I have tried them and love them. 11% say I've tried them and I don't care for them. 11% say never tried them and I'm not interested. And then I got 11% other. I don't have the those responses offhand here, but anyway. So this kind of dovetails. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Does anybody use anything? It was, I suppose if you use Nix, that's kind of like a universal thing as well. Maybe not.
So does the MX Package Manager and the clone of MX Package Manager, the Cache OS Package Manager, do those fall into that category? Is that not?
So
or not?
None of the polls here are very hard lined. So maybe.
Okay.
I can't say for 100% certainty.
Well, I mean, I love the package installer in MX Linux, and the one in Cache OS is pretty much an exact clone. But I also love Delhi, which is a very wonderful program, and I didn't even know anything about it until I installed Cache. But it's basically, you can check AUR, Flatpak, and your native. I think I saw a quick flash of a future of having app images available in it, maybe even snaps.
I know that MX. I think the MX Manager does do. I know it does Flatpak. I know it does obviously the Debs. Does it also do snaps? Did you say it just does snaps?
No, I'm pretty sure it does not.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's enabled in MX Linux by default.
No, it isn't because they don't use systemd.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, if you can enable systemd, of course, but
I'm starting to comprehend. I'll catch up.
Well, here's the
Well, it's
neat
kind
thing. Once you start to understand, everything just kind of shifts, and then it all goes out the door anyway. So what does it matter?
Yeah,
more about,
that's true.
It's more like did anybody as a kid ever? This might be like if you grew up in the 80s.
I have kids and grandkids, so
where you were on a roller on a skateboard and you hung onto a vehicle with a rope.
oh, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, not a good idea. Terrible idea. Don't do that.
I did the sled in the snow behind a truck.
Yeah, that's another good one too. But
or
if you
going
hit a
down
rock
a
in
very
a
steep
sled,
hill on a skateboard.
yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, same deal. Hit that rock and Do your best Superman impersonation.
Fly while it's fun.
Yeah, for that few seconds before you hit.
Yeah.
Nate, this is an interesting point. Some distros do not have the Flatpak and the Snap integration into Discover or the GNOME software, because you do like a default install of MX Linux. Flatpak is the actual binary is installed, but the repos are not configured, and Snap itself isn't installed.
Mm-hmm. Well,
in reference
in
to like
that
Mint?
case, yeah, MX is what he said.
In MX.
Yeah, I just installed it this afternoon. MX 25.1 Infinity. I just checked it out. I ran Discover just to see how Discover was doing these days. And when I searched for Telegram, which I know Telegram isn't in the Debian repos because of licensing issues, and when I went to search for Telegram, it didn't come up. So I went into the terminal and typed Flatpak list. Didn't show up. So I typed in, what's the command? Flatpak remotes, I think it is. That'll list your remote repositories. Nothing came up. And when I did a which for Snap, and Snap wasn't found either. And when I went into the configuration for Discover, it told me that the plugin for Snap and Flatpak were available, but they weren't installed.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of strange that they wouldn't configure the repo, but on there. But I was just going to say, if you install Flatpak on Ubuntu, you have to go and configure FlatHub by hand as well.
Yeah, a lot of them are like that.
Yeah, but I'm surprised if they've pre-installed it, they don't configure that repo. That's not very common.
Yeah, I've heard on some of the distros, and I can't remember which ones, but for the sake of brevity, the most concise explanation is that they can't assume that you're going to use the repo, so they leave it unconfigured, which, how many other Flatpak repos are there that you would connect to? I mean, Fedora has their own for Fedora use, and I think there might be some other bespoke distros that have their own, but pretty much you're going to be using FlatHub. So I don't know why. And also, well, and the other one that I've read before is the solicitors, the lawyers, because for distribution, sometimes they can get a little pedantic about things, where Flatpak has license encumbered software, and you're including access to the license encumbered software. I know that's a bit of a stretch, but that's what I've read. So they don't add it by default. I mean, it's pretty much like how Fedora, you have to spend 10, 15 minutes installing everything the lawyers made them take out.
I think, isn't that one of the issues with certain distributions that are of larger size? They have to be more careful with what they distribute, while other smaller distributions, no one's going to go after them because it's like trying to squeeze blood out of a turnip. Is that one of those situations?
Yeah, it's like Fedora, SUSE, Canonical. Well, Canonical sort of thumbed their nose at some of that because they included. Well, I'm not sure about 2604, but I remember, what was it, 2404? They included ZFS. I think.
Yeah.
I think in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about 2604 now, but yeah, I guess if you're of a certain size, you have to be a little bit more mindful of other countries' laws, unless you're Mark Shuttleworth, and then you can pretty much roll the dice and see what you get.
Yeah, it's kind of a situation where like Ubuntu strips out the MS Core fonts out of there, and you have to go in and install them yourself. from the repo instead of some distribution. I think even Fedora even has those fonts installed by default. At least they did at one time. But yeah, Ubuntu strips those out and has you install them with a script.
Yeah, the most outrageous, one I've experienced is Fedora, where you install VLC expecting it to be the Swiss Army knife of being able to play every codec from the 1990s to present day, until you realize that they recompiled it to not include any license encumbered codecs. So you go to try to play something and it doesn't work, and you start scratching your head going, oh, okay, I just have to install the codecs. Then you go to the repo, install the codecs, and realize the codecs are there. And then you start scratching your head some more, and after some searching, you realize, oh, they compiled their own version without the license encumbered, codec. So then you have to go and find out how to enable the copper repos and the what's the other one? I'm blanking on them.
What is it? Fedora Respin?
No, it's another name.
What was it? No, Fusion.
Yeah, the Fusion.
Repos.
Yeah, you have to find out how, which is basically a package. You basically install a package, and when it processes the package, it actually adds the repos for you. But yeah, you have to go through all that faff, and then you can play your videos.
I think Rhythmbox is the same way.
Yeah, because
Debian, you try to install a codec and it doesn't do it because they don't update it enough.
Yeah, because this was like the experience you had with Debian 15 years ago.
Yeah,
and this is the current experience you have with Fedora 44.
And this is typically why I don't choose Fedora, because I have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get software that other repos just have by default. And I'm just like, I think that's a little bit ridiculous, especially when it comes to codecs. I'm like, codec developers typically don't go after you for having them installed. So,
yeah. So, yeah, well, Fedora's a fine distro. It's just they've got some pretty strict beliefs.
And I think that's when sometimes using the Flatpak version of certain things like VLC, for instance.
Oh yeah,
your life is a little bit makes your life a little bit easier.
Keep in mind, Fedora is Red Hat, which is based in the United States.
Yeah,
and
owned by IBM.
And being that they are based in the United States, they are an easy target for lawsuits.
I'm surprised nobody has referred to them as Blue Hat.
I like that.
Or if you get red and blue, you can have purple. You can call them purple hatters.
That would be successful. Violet hats. Violet fedoras. Yeah. Or the violet, if you wanted to change it really, you'd call it the violet. What's the round hat?
Yeah, I don't know the name of that.
Yeah, the one that the guy used in Hawaii 5.0 back in the day that would.
Yeah, I know which one. You see them a lot, but it could be they wear them a lot in like the mafia movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on to something. You're wondering what I'm doing. I'm organizing my USB cable.
So, I inadvertently muted myself. So I think that's a good segue to go into why I think Linux native versus universal packages, the codecs being one and whatnot. So, and the application isolations and so forth. So I kind of wanted to fall into to maybe talk about that a little bit. So it was last week we were talking a little bit about this applications and whatnot. And there are times when I prefer a Linux native package versus a universal package. Now, universal package being the AppImage, Snaps, or Flatpak. I don't know how I just lost my mind right there. And so that'd be more of a universal package. One could argue something like it's not called this anymore, but like the Loki installer, like some applications have their own installer, but we're not going to worry about those. We're going to talk specifically about these other three. Not to say we can't talk about them, but that's more or less what I'm focusing on. And so one of my primary drivers, and this is going to be really, really shallow of me, is I prefer the native packages often over a Flatpak because the Flatpak sometimes has a broken theme integration, and that's really annoying to me. And if I were just running a light theme, I wouldn't even notice. But for example, Bitwarden. I use Bitwarden all the time. It's a regular part of my workflow. All started actually because of Eric some years back. So Eric, thank you. It's been 7 years on Bitwarden now because of you. So I hope they cut you a nice check for that.
I should have used a referral code.
I should have. Yeah, you should have. So, and also even at the enterprise level where I work, I was not necessarily. I wasn't the main driver, but I was a huge driver of switching over from Keepers to Bitwarden for the entire organization as well. So Bitwarden is great. Not everyone uses it, but Bitwarden is great because for organizations you can share passwords. So I actually have a repo of passwords with my IT tech, and then the engineers too for systems so that we can we have a place to be able to access and do these things. Obviously, you got to totally trust who you're working with, but Bitwarden does have history things. This is not a Bitwarden commercial, but anyway, the point is, the application. If I use a Flatpak, my menu bar is white and everything else is dark, and it annoys the snot out of me. So I choose the native package instead. Would you say that's a shallow example of why to use native? Does anybody, or am I the cheese that stands alone on that one?
No, I do the same thing. And for quite a while, like Telegram desktop, through Flatpak, the mouse cursor integration was broken. And it drove me crazy because the mouse cursor was tiny and like the default X cursor. And yeah, it drove me nuts. So like, and everything else worked fine, but that one thing, and I couldn't handle it. And I tried all the things I could find with installing cursor packs and like, just everything I could try, and nothing worked. And I'm like, you know what? It's not that important. Especially since Telegram comes as sort of like a binary of its own. So you don't even really need to install anything. But anyway, there are other things as well. It's interesting that you mentioned Bitwarden, and I wonder if that's something that's either changed recently or is something that's happening on Plasma, because I have the Flatpak on Arch using GNOME, and it looks the same as the native package or the AppImage, because they have both. So, but yeah, no, I don't think that's a problem at all, because I mean, I think it is a problem, and I don't think it's a problem that you don't use it if something doesn't look right, because frankly, like, that was a serious problem for a long time. I've noticed now, though, that whenever you install something new, it will pull down. So if the application's GTK and it uses the GTK, toolkits and framework and stuff, it will pull down a compatible theme along with that matches your system. So they've done a lot of work in that area, and they wouldn't have done that work if it wasn't important to people, right? If people didn't notice, if people didn't complain about it, they wouldn't have put the effort into it that they have. And now, because of that, years later, it's gotten very good. I mean, I think there's still maybe a few things like what you're mentioning where like a toolbar or something isn't quite right. But
it's just a toolbar.
I'm trying to think right now. Yeah, I'm trying to think right now. I don't think there is anything else that I can think of now. If you would have asked me 2 years ago or longer or whatever, then yeah, I would have had probably a list of different things that I didn't use specifically in Flatpak because of that. But now I can't think of any that happens anymore. Again, very specifically on GNOME. So maybe there's something different between Plasma and GNOME.
And
So
I'd
also,
like to,
go ahead.
before, no, sorry for the interruption there. Before this gets lost in the YouTube chat, from the horse's mouth, to use a metaphor, run with the dolphin has a correction about the Flatpak. They said MX package installer configures FlatHub on the first launch. You can configure FlatHub on a system or a user basis. So I just want to make that correction.
Well, thank you for that. That's good. That's that went by on me and I didn't see it.
Yeah, and as far as the theming, that's iffy for me. It all depends on how outrageous the color difference is. If I have mine is all weighted dark, or I'm on Zorin right here, and it's whatever they call their version of it. Weighted dark is called Zorin dark or whatever it's called. So everything is pretty much shades of charcoal. If I have an app that comes up and I'm like, my eyes, yeah, I'm going to get the native package. But if it's just like a little toolbar or something, I can let it slide.
Now, I don't care for dark mode. It can be different shades of a darker color. That's fine. Like Obsidian here, slightly different shade than what I have for my dark theme for something else. As long as it's not bright and in my face, I'm cool with it. But the toolbars, I don't know what the deal is with the toolbars. They annoy me. So no, I will say though, it's not universal though that all Flatpaks can't do theme integration, because I know that at least Plasma applications, so I use the Kdenlive Flatpak instead of the Kdenlive AppImage or native package, because I don't know why. I just do it. To me, it's just simpler for when it installs and updates and whatnot. But the dark mode is consistent with my unique dark theme that I have set up for my system that you can download, actually. Cubicle Night Breeze dark theme. So that actually does come through no problem. Maybe it's a flat seal permissions thing. I don't know. And then also there's some applications. What's that? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's probably just because the developer has to enable theme integration when they compile it. I know Snap was the same way for a long time, and Snap has gotten a lot better, especially if you're using Ubuntu. Ubuntu generally, everything integrates just perfectly on Snap, but it's probably just the developer has to enable it.
It's probably more than just an enable, I imagine. I know that, Mike, you said that there's inherent challenges when building Flatpak applications. So can you see that there being some difficulties with theme integration?
Yeah, I mean, it could be just a simple matter of not having the right version of the library, like if they're using GTK or Qt, depending on what desktop you have. They may have GTK 2 in there, and that could be an issue, or 3, or which I think 4 is the current version. But yeah, I mean, it could be something as simple as just updating the library of whatever system they're building on.
So and one of the other issues I had, and this is more with snaps, and it didn't really matter if I ran but it was specifically the snap for Bitwarden was one of them. But every once in a while, I would have to clear out the cache because all the fonts were crazy. Now this has been a few years, but I just haven't gone back to using snaps as a consequence. Did anybody ever have those as issues where their fonts would get all goofy with universal applications? I only had this with snaps. It's not a Flatpak thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, Snaps does have some issues with fonts and rendering. I've noticed that with a couple of them. Uh, let's see, what was it? Oh yeah, Discord is one of them. Discord does it every once in a while, and sometimes like the fonts will work in the application, but they won't work like when you're file browsing. You open a file browser and it's all boxes and stars. And generally speaking, you either clear out the cache or uninstall and reinstall, and usually it snaps back in. But yeah, I do notice that sometimes. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes.
Jinder, you said you just put in the live chat here. It said you've only had problems with snaps. With what? What specifically?
When snaps, I can't remember when snaps came out. They came out whenever, and so I was on the bandwagon to try them, and I was all excited about it. And half of them didn't work, and I gave up completely on them rather quickly. Flatpaks always worked for me, never had an issue. Snaps, unfortunately, I'm sorry guys, they just didn't work for me. Now, I wish I could remember what I installed, but how long ago did they come out? Does anybody remember?
Yeah,
Like 7, 8 years ago.
Ubuntu 15, I believe. Ubuntu 15 series.
Okay.
I think.
That sounds about right. Yeah, they just nothing but problems. The font problem, they didn't install right. The list keeps going. They're probably better now. I'm just being stubborn.
Oh, they're much better now. I've been using them since like Ubuntu 18.04, and they were bad then, and they've gotten nothing but better.
Okay.
So
yeah, if you're using Ubuntu, they're pretty rock solid. Yeah.
Run with the Dolphin has some words of wisdom here. It says, theming can be weird for GTK apps on Plasma anyway. It says, I use Kdenlive Flatpak for the opposite reason. Kdenlive looks better as an integrated all Qt Flatpak than theme matching on a GTK desktop, which that makes sense because it pulls in all the bits and pieces. It says, and it updates more often in the Debian world. That's another good reason, I think, for Flatpak. It says my favorite wrongly built Flatpak is Pinta, which used to doesn't have access to your home folder, which is fine until you want to save a file. That's kind of funny. It would just be a permissions thing. I think you can probably clear that up, no problem. But
yeah.
So the next, the sandboxing. So it's a common pain point is can sometimes break theming or missing system fonts or icon themes if not applied correctly. And so that I guess that can be tweaked as a user, so that shouldn't be too terribly difficult on that specific piece of it. Did anybody have anything else on that particular theming and visual integrations that had any thoughts on?
Well, I'll also tell you, sometimes theming integration doesn't work on native applications. And I've been having this problem with Sway and Wayland, where like some of my Qt applications aren't respecting my Qt theme. Like QSynth is one of them. The MIDI front end for FluidSynth, that does not respect my dark theme at all. And neither does a couple other Qt, and I think they're like Qt 3 or Qt 4, and they absolutely refuse. I go in there, I change it, and next thing you know, it's back as a light theme again. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it works perfectly on my Xorg session. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but sometimes theming can be an issue with native packages.
I can't say I've seen that before, but okay. I know that there's I've had issues running like native packages, running a Qt application on a GTK desktop. That's been an issue. I don't know if anybody else has run into that, but I've noticed that a few times where certain things just don't look good, so it's probably missing something, I would guess.
Yeah, but it works just fine on my Xorg So that's kind of weird. I switch over to Wayland and it breaks the streaming. But if I go into Xorg with that cute thing, it's it's XFCE.
Is it? So what's the desktop environment?
XFCE.
Oh, that one's still like in early stages. It's not really a full release on that yet. So that's probably needs some work yet.
Oh no, I'm talking about no. I use Xorg for that. What I'm saying is, as soon as I switch over to Wayland, no matter what Wayland capacity I'm using,
what desktop environment?
Oh, okay. Sway or GNOME. I have GNOME on the system too. It breaks it too. It's something with Wayland that's having a problem.
Yeah. So Run with the Dolphin says most certainly an environment variable is not getting set. So that's probably the issue.
Oh. Yeah, I have the environment. Well, it might be the Qt 3 environment variable. I think I've set it for Qt 4 and 5. Maybe I need to go and check my environment. Right, that's a good idea.
Don't have any Qt 3 anything anymore. You're talking software that's probably almost 20 years old at this point.
Oh, QSynth hasn't been updated for 18 years, for like 15 years. It's still using Qt 3. I know it is.
Oh, well.
I think.
Weird, but okay.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the other issues with like native versus universal are performance and resource usage. So native apps usually feel snappier with less RAM, CPU, which can be more noticeable on older hardware. So Flatpak especially have the sandboxing overhead. I know that snaps have a slower startup. I don't know if Flatpak has the same sort of slower startup as snaps do. I'm not sure that. I've not noticed it, but I don't have older hardware that I'm testing it on. I can't tell the difference. But does this difference actually matter?
I think they mostly fixed that slow startup issue with snaps now.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, they have.
I'm not totally up. Is someone here? I don't know if either Dale or Dale, if when running Ubuntu, do you notice any differences between the native and the universal and then the snap?
I don't. When I'm running 2604, they definitely have fixed the starting of the app issues in Snap. Pretty snappy. No pun intended.
Why
not? Well, I guess I could have, but mostly did Firefox. I did it Snap, did it native. There was not much different.
Yeah, I found like 1 or 2 seconds. It wasn't really something you even notice unless you're actually sitting there going, click. If you're just doing regular computing where you're clicking, you're looking away, you're going to take a drink or something, you're not going to really see that big of a difference.
And the only difference really is on that very first startup when it's building the structure, the file structure for it. After that, and it's already been built, there's no difference.
Yeah, building the locales and stuff. Yeah, I think some applications you could see 5-10 second, but after that, not really a problem because I think if I remember correctly, I can't remember. They changed the compression. I think they were using the same compression. Oh, I can't remember. It's late. I've already been on 2 other podcasts today.
Well, thanks for being here then.
Eggsy. Yeah, I was on the Linux OTC, and then I was at the Linux Mint Roundtable for all listeners. You know, you don't have to be a team member. But yeah, I've had these headphones on, except for my break for dinner for like 5 hours already. So I've got the colorful ear going on. But yeah, the speed, I haven't really seen that much of a difference. I think it's been a while now, but I was running the Flatpak of the Nextcloud, and I didn't really have a problem with that either, with restarts. But of course, I didn't really restart that that often, but for updates, it was reliable.
I'm running on the potato that I have behind me. It's a 2009 era equipment. Not terrible, but certainly not as good as what I'm on main. And I didn't even have the 5-second delay. It was 2 seconds at most.
About the only thing that you could conceivably complain about if you really wanted to be picky about it is if you're using a snap and you have the background update turned on, which snaps can update independently of the package manager.
Yeah, that's a neat feature.
It'll come up with a little pop-up saying, I've updated. If you restart, you'll get the new version, type of thing, where that can be a little annoying to people. To me, I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but web browsers do the same thing. Because whenever my web browser updates in the same thing, if I run an update with the web browser, Brave will pop up a notification saying it's updated, that you need to restart the application too. So I don't view that as a big issue. It's just telling you, hey, I've updated. If you want the new, you're not running the newest version in memory. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Now, does Brave do the same thing that Firefox does? Is if Firefox does that and you go to open another tab, or if you try to refresh your page, it'll say, you have to restart your browser.
No, Brave does not do that.
Oh, good heavens. That's so annoying.
Yeah, Brave will let you keep working and all that stuff. It just reminds you every 6 hours. Yeah, so, if you've have it open for 6 hours and you haven't responded, it'll pop up another little notification for you. But cool. No. I thought that's one of the reasons why I stopped using Firefox is because of weird stuff like that.
So if you're from Mozilla and you're watching this, can we fix this, please? And while you're at it, sync all the settings. I don't like having to move my cheese every time I install Firefox.
Yeah.
So looking at, I just scanned some stuff from, including the Linux Experiment. I don't know, does anybody watch the Linux Experiment or read any of his stuff? He's got some good things to check out. But so it looks like Flatpak the overhead of Flatpak has to do with the sandboxing, and that's where some of the additional basically only on the initial launch of a Flatpak application does that become an issue. So just the initial launch. But after that, you shouldn't notice anything. So it's something that's running, basically taking up some memory, obviously, for the sandboxing. And then Flatpak is quicker than Snaps. So Flatpak is near native, and Snaps a little bit slower, but that's only on the initial launch with Snaps also. So yeah, I don't know, but you do get the sandboxing, which I think is a benefit there.
Well, Snaps has the same type of has its own sandboxing, and you're going to have that issue in the Snaps as well, as you're going to have that overhead for the sandboxing as well.
I'm just talking about times. I know they both have sandboxing, but the overhead specifically with Flatpak is the sandboxing, and that's only on the initial launch. So it's probably whatever services that have to be brought up to provide that bubble wrap. That is the issue. I know that Snaps, they are compressed, I believe, and I think so. Some of the initial launch does take a little bit for to decompress.
Yeah,
so I don't know. Mm-hmm. But so let's see. So Scrubgo says you do have to restart for a kernel update eventually, unless you are paying for the hot patch. Then you can. There's a service you can purchase through Ubuntu on that. But I'm not sure about with other distributions, maybe.
I think that's part of the Ubuntu Pro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, but you don't have to pay for it if you're a home user. If you have five or less devices, you get if you all you have to do is sign up for an Ubuntu account, and they'll give you a key that's good for 5 devices. So you can have live patch if you're a home user and never have to pay for it.
Yeah, I think you have to use that. I'm not sure if that's on by default or not, because it's been a while since I've set up my
No.
Ubuntu servers. Because you have to do the pro attach command to to enable some of the other free
That's right.
free features.
Well, on Ubuntu server, if you install it, you can go ahead and enter in your key, and it will turn it on automatically
Yeah,
as you install it. If you enter in your key, yeah.
Yeah, there's some
But
other
if,
features. Yeah, there's some
Oh.
other features in Pro Attach. If you do, I think that's the command Pro Attach. I've only
yeah,
done
it's
it.
Pro Attach. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you do a list, there's some other things that you can get for free that are not enabled by default.
Huh. I thought,
But like I said, it's been like a year, 2 years since I've set it up, so I don't remember.
I was gonna say, because that should all be on if like you install Ubuntu server and enter in your key. That all should be on by default if you've entered in your key during install, because they'll turn it on for you.
I'll get a little bit from some other people here that I haven't heard from. I think it's your first time here. Is it Mifsto? Maybe I'm saying that wrong. Mifsto? Mifsto? I don't know. It's like,
Mifto.
Mifto. Okay. So, what is your if your weight when you weigh in on this? Where would you say you put yourself as far as the universal packages? And you could say I don't care. That's fine too. I just want to get some other input on it.
I'm a beginner. I'm a
Beautiful.
total beginner too.
Love it.
Yeah.
So what are you running right now?
Ubuntu 24.02.
Okay. And so have you dug into
long-term service?
Yeah. Have you dug into at all to any of the different application delivery mechanisms, or do you? I mean, you could just say you don't really care one way or the other. We're digging into some serious minutia here on Linux Saloon today, so you can feel free to weigh in on any of that stuff. I'd love to hear the input of someone who's considered new. I consider myself new, and I've only been using it for 20 years. 20, no more than that, but so I'm still new too.
Yeah, I don't know what really. I'm really lost in what you guys are talking about. Like I said, I'm totally new. It's the first time I loaded up Ubuntu on one of my computers as a main operating system. I've been using Ubuntu with my game server that I run.
Okay.
But a lot of my education comes from AI.
Okay. Anyone in particular you find more useful than the other? I find that real people are even more useful than AI. So thank you for being here. In fact, we've got some amazing experts here. Pretty much a guy who knows just about everything that I ask questions, especially for years now. Eric. So if you hit up Eric, he's pretty much got a lot on a lot. He actually knows a lot more than I do, really. This is true because I said it.
I appreciate that because it's like I'm totally new, and that's why I'm here. I was actually I was referred to here by Benji.
Yep, I referred him to the show.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ubuntu is a great place to go. I mean, there are tons of professionals out there. That's all they run is Ubuntu. They're very happy with it. I know some developers. That's all they run is Ubuntu. I run a lot of Ubuntu at work for some of our core systems and some of our ancillary systems as well. Or I think the ancillary ones run Debian. But so yeah, no, it's a great place to start. It's a great place to get going, and amazing amount of documentation to help you if you have any questions. Also, get the Linux Saloon Telegram and Discord with some extremely knowledgeable people. I know like War Thunder is extremely knowledgeable. He's not in the chat tonight, but he's always in the. He seems to always be in the Discord. So yeah, no, great. And if you have any questions, feel free to pipe up. If you're like, what are you even talking about sandboxing? You can ask those questions totally free.
Yeah.
I appreciate such things. It kind of brings the conversation, I think, back down to earth a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah. Keeps us honest.
And if you have any questions about Ubuntu specifically, I use it every day. Just hit me up on Discord. I'll try and answer your question because I'm very knowledgeable about the system.
I always tell people Ubuntu is a good idea.
I appreciate that.
Excellent. I always kind of say Ubuntu is a good starter system because if there's any company out there making software for Linux, you can just about guarantee they make a version that works on Ubuntu.
Except for DaVinci Resolve.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
that's
the exception. Yeah,
it
only
can,
works.
but yeah,
it's designed for Red Hat. Yeah,
but you can get it. I actually just noticed. So someone had asked about the other types of the other repositories for FlatHubs or for Flatpaks, other than FlatHub, and there's actually a DaVinci Resolve repository for Flatpaks. So there's a Flatpak version of DaVinci Resolve that you can install.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you look up, I'll put the link in the show notes, or in the chat. But yeah, I just found that, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So you don't have to worry about native packages. You just use the Flatpaks. So yeah,
they needed to do that for a very long time. Just and this is what I always suggest to proprietary developers. I'm like, if you're developing for it, just develop it for Flatpak and Snap. If you do that, you've got most of your distributions covered, and you don't have to worry about building it for different package bases. You just have one.
I think that you're going to see. Good. Sorry.
I would say that's great advice at the high level, but I think at the practical level, Flatpak is actually very difficult to publish to for a lot of people. So I know Mike has expressed his frustration with Flatpak publishing. So I know and I've heard it from others as well.
Yeah, but Snap is pretty easy. Yeah, and I'm just like most distributions use system DSD and NIT anyway. So you've got most of your distributions covered with Snap anyway. Just a lot of Linux users. There's very, very specific Linux users that complain about it, but still.
I'll go on record as saying that any Linux packaging, there's nothing simple about it. Because of the way that Windows is super easy.
Oh, really?
Because most installation tools for Windows, they go out and they look for the dependencies, whereas there's no such tool currently in Linux to do that. You have to do it all.
Well, that's because each distribution is different.
That's right.
So,
Debian, in my experience, Debian has always been the best packaging manager and everything, packaging system to go find the dependencies too. That's one of the reasons why I left Red Hat back in the day, because I was tired of installing an RPM and it coming up with this message saying, you need to find we can't find it .so file. And you go looking for it and it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's kind of an old one though. That's a 25-year-old problem.
I'm an old one, so hey.
So Dolphin says debs are zip files, and deb build finds a library depends for miscellaneous libraries. Aren't RPMs also archives as well? Because I thought
they are.
Yeah, because I think they're both kind of one and the same, just like where they place things. I thought, and the spec file or whatever the something in there. I don't know. I'm not a developer. All right. Well, so the next piece that I'd like to talk about a little bit is a system integration and permissions. So for a long time, I ran Rustdesk just as a Flatpak because it was easy to install. no, I didn't have to go to the site and download it. I get always the latest and updated version of it. I guess until OPI and Tumbleweed, which is OPI, Rustdesk, and then it does it for me. But aside from that, but what I did learn through this, like as I use Rustdesk for a while, was the native package does a better job of integration with the system. So you have to start Rustdesk as a user application. It's not automatic. You have to put it as part of your auto start when you use the Flatpak. But the native application, that one, automatically creates all those little bits and connectors and pieces and whatnot. And so then I just have to start the system and that's it. And so it's for all users, and it also works on the login screen as well. So as soon as the machine comes up, you already can access it. It's a great remote management tool. So if you want to do if you have like a small business where you help other people out with their computers, whatever, it's a great tool for that. Although a lot of scammers using it too, so that's kind of a dirty pool there. But anyway, I do like how Flatpaks and AppImages are self-contained, but the convenience of the integration is pretty tip top. Does anybody have any other applications similar to that they use that they'll use the native over the universal for in that regard, or is that kind of maybe the only good example of that?
No, there are certain things, and I agree with that, where it's like a system level. I mean, obviously anything that is terminal based, you're going to have to do at a system level, or as a native package. I mean, there are snaps,
homebrew,
and then you can do homebrew. That's right. But yeah, for Flatpaks. So there are still certain ones that I think anything that for me that needs hardware, or at least like direct access to like video card and stuff like that, seems to run better as a native package for certain things, at least on this hybrid machine. That may not be true for other systems, but at least on this laptop. So there are definitely things that I still tend to run, but that list has gotten much, much shorter over time.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's kind of what I do as well. Like LACT, like for the GPU, definitely a native package over. You can use Flat Seal, all right, to help get that extra permission you might need to. But yeah, I tend to use native packages for like my browsers. But then again, on Discord, I use the Flatpak because I don't really want it in my system.
Yeah, it all depends on what it is. If it's something that definitely requires root access, forget it. I'm not going to use Snap for that, because a lot of times you can have problems getting around Bubble Wrap, which is sandboxing for Snap. Trying to get that to work to interface with the root access of your system sometimes. And also, yeah, GPUs, especially if you have an NVIDIA, I highly suggest, if it's GPU heavy, that you try to use a native package if you can, because of that type of thing. But yeah, things like screen sharing and things like that, with the Snap, if you don't have the right port plugged in, it's not going to work either. So, yeah, it's the sandboxing that really is the problem there that I think you're having with that, Nate. But
no, it's not. It's how the application is being launched. So as a Flatpak, it's not being launched as a system package. So it's not a system level. Okay. So it's not launching the native package with Rustdesk. Launches as soon as the display manager is up, Rustdesk is up. Basically, I mean, I'm sure Rustdesk comes up after. It's dependent on the so, but the Flatpak cannot run at the display manager level. That's the real reason why.
Okay. So yeah, but yeah, it all depends on how much integration with the system you need.
Sure.
That's
I guess
basically what it comes down to.
And that's one of the things, like, when do you choose one or the other? And this is actually one of the reasons why I'm a little bit skeptical of the immutable distributions as being the universal catch. That's the few. The more I use them, the more I run into these little issues where it's like, well, I can't really easily fix that issue, which is why I lean, I think, more toward the tumbleweed side than the Bazite. Bazite's great because it has all the things that I need built into it already for a gaming console, but not so much for a desktop, at least for me. That's just that's my take on that. But so it's just one of the applications. Now, in universal applications, do need extra portals and overrides to get things like GPU access and Bluetooth printers, hardware acceleration, and so forth. But I find that once those portals are opened, I don't notice any other issues there, as long as you understand the permission system. And I kind of like the permission system. I think it's very easy to understand with Flatseal or the built-in Plasma application permission, Flatpak permission thing. So I like that. It makes sense. So long as most of the time. But anyway, so that's just one of my thoughts there. So and then I do like how, if it's like an application you just want to try or whatever, I like to, from FlatHub, I install that, make sure the permissions make sense for that, and then I just run it and I have a little more confidence there. But do you think that running Flatpak is a false sense of security with the permission system?
Yeah, because anything can practically be broken, but it also depends on your level of knowledge of that permission system. Because if you got it pretty well locked down, then that's going to be more secure. But if you're opening portals here, there, and everywhere, you're allowing it more access, which creates more holes in it. So just because it's sandbox does not mean it's secure.
Yes, I understand that. But the question is more along the lines of, do you think, even with your understanding of the security model, do you think there's a false sense of security with Flatpak?
It's funny, I don't think I've ever thought about Flatpak outside of the convenience of it. So, there's certainly the aspect of sandboxing and security, and that's built into it. And it is nice to know that there is a certain level of granularity in terms of permissions and things like that is a little more difficult to achieve with just a native system package. But at the end of the day, I think myself and a lot of other people, if there is something that is a problem because of a permission, it's more of an annoyance than a benefit. Like in my case, how most Flatpaks have the permission of user files. Well, I map my home directory outside of to a data drive, to a different partition, which falls outside of those files technically. And so for most of my Flatpaks, not most, but the ones that would need direct access to files, I have to go through Flatseal to enable all files, or to add in, that specific directory that it might need access to. So on one hand, yeah, that's I guess a positive thing. But on the other, I'm already using verified packages. I tend to not ever install unverified. And I don't know, I just don't, while that may be a side benefit, I just don't see it as the primary benefit for me, the security.
That's fair. So you're more selective on the front end.
Yeah.
Before you install an application.
Yeah, and the utility for me is that I'm not polluting my system with a bunch of dependencies and cruft that in the past I would have had to.
Right.
So
that's
in that sense, I think it's more secure because I'm just not dumping more random packages on my root drive. So
yeah, Aaron pretty much covered it. That's kind of how I feel about it too. I mean, there's kind of different scenarios for different things that I'm doing. So, like, if I want to try an app out, I'll usually use the Flatpak or the Snap. You know,
right?
But if it's something that I know I need to install, I generally prefer to want to use the native package for the distro, like a Debian or an RPM or whatever. You know.
So Mike, that actually falls into the next piece of what I want to get at, which is the update speed and freshness. So I think you use Ubuntu, right? Is that what you use, Mike?
Yep.
And Jinda uses MX Linux. So probably a lesser. When you use, do you use the LTS or you go to use the incremental, the in between versions too? Okay.
LTS.
So,
yeah.
Well, then in that case, this does apply to you then. So do you think the native application, and again, I don't know how they do things in the Ubuntu land in this regard, but the native applications, do those get updates throughout the life cycle of that release?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then the update speed and freshness of an application is not a concern in that regard.
It's probably not as, it's a lot more conservative than like the snaps and the Flatpaks.
Okay.
But they do update. So.
Okay, maybe I can explain that a little bit because what Ubuntu does with the LTS is they'll do 18, like let's just say 24.04 is the current LTS, and what they'll do is once that they've release a certain amount of packages that they know are stable, they'll create 24.04.1 and push a bunch of updates all at once, kind of similar to what Debian does with theirs. Is they'll do it in batches, like backport kernels, they'll backport LibreOffice and stuff like that to in one swoop.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So you get, you do get updates along the way with LTS up to a certain point where they stop and they start getting ready for the next LTS, which has just been recently. Because help me out here, I think the last was it .3, 2404.3 was that last one.
Yeah, and generally that's where they go because generally they do 3 rounds and then they'll go to the next LTS, and then they just expect you just to go to the next LTS and they stop updating the old LTS.
Wasn't that back around the first of the year or the end of last year when that came out with .3? I can't remember.
Yeah, first of this year, I think. First month of this year, I think.
Yeah.
Wait,
so that's kind of how they handle the LTSs.
How many point releases are there throughout a year, throughout the life cycle of an LTS then?
Well, generally it's 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you think that's fine when it comes to the update speed and freshness of the applications that they're pushing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if not, then I just go get it from the software vendor.
I mean, and there's one and I can tell you where it does kind of become a problem with one application that they package, and that's YTDLP. I have to go get the snap because they never update that package. And if you're using YTDLP, eventually, if it's out of date, it doesn't work. So I don't know why they package it like that if they're never going to update it, but they include it in the repos. But yeah, you have to use the snap in order for it to work properly. So, I mean, it does create some problems with some of the packages that they package. But in that case, I just pull down the snap if I need it to be up to date all the time.
Yeah, but you also have the option to go get the software vendor. I mean, you're not locked into that one repo. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I think that YTDLP does have its own PPA if you want to. I'm just lazy, so I just install the snap. I tend not to do what I used to do and crowd my repo list with a bunch of PPAs anymore. If it's a snap, I just go get it.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some custom PPAs, but they're mostly like for languages, that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, yeah, I pretty much do my stuff like Eric does his for the most part. Just kind of use it. I use the packaging. If it's not available with anything else but a snap or a Flatpak, then I'll use that. But I tend to prefer the native packages. That's just my opinion.
That's the same for me. I prefer the native.
See, I used to say that, but now I don't know anymore. I am not. I think maybe today's Linux Saloon is trying to figure out what do I like more. I don't think I'm anywhere closer.
Well, there's enough opinions to confuse anybody. That's for sure.
Yes. So, like, when it comes to the visual aspect, to me, the visual is important. Didn't think I'd ever become one of those types, but I am. And then also stability, or I like having a user experience where I don't have to worry about it working. And I think one of the things about, not to be, I have no regrets on using Tumbleweed. It's great. But I have had historically where some certain like applications have a lot of components to it. Let's say like Kdenlive, an update would come down, it would break, and I have to either roll back or use an alternate like an AppImage or Flatpak. And so it happened enough times, and mind you, it's been years. It's been like many and many years where I just press the lazy button. I'm gonna say easy, but the lazy button. I just use a Flatpak now for that. And I don't know if maybe that's because it's kind of an extra. It's not a core application that I need to worry about making sure it's updated all the time. It's kind of how I look at it. Does that make any sense?
It depends on the type of package too. So certain things, there's an advantage to using the Flatpak in particular. Like I think of things like Audacity, where if you install the native package, you're just going to get the native package and not a lot of extra. Sometimes the repository will have other things there that you can install additionally, right? I mean, you can say that you want, other related packages or add-ons, extensions, things like that might be there. But if you were to install Audacity from Flatpak, you're going to get all of those filters and things sort of built right in. And that's kind of a nice thing because just saves you the step of having to do something that they assume you'll want to do. And I think for them, because this is the other thing that I think is interesting about software developers having some measure of control is, yes, they can package their own versions of a deb file or an RPM or whatever. But in a lot of cases, the distribution themselves kind of have control over packaging, right? They're going to go get the source and package it themselves, and not universally, but in some cases, or in a lot of cases. Whereas with Flatpaks and snaps and AppImages and things, the developer themselves can sort of choose to include more than just the core package itself, and also maybe some additional configuration and things that may not be either appropriate or allowed by a distribution, whereas there's an expectation that they have that leeway with something like a Flatpak. And so I've seen that with a lot of packages where OBS is another good example, right? I mean, you get a different version of that piece of software just based on the way they have it configured or packaged, or including additional components that you don't get with just a random, because like you guys said, it's difficult to assume anything because each distribution has carte blanche to do with what they want with in terms of like, dependencies and other stuff like that. So by using something like a Flatpak, you're first of all using the same thing that everyone's using, which is kind of an interesting take on it, right? I mean, if you say you have this Flatpak installed, there's a certain expectation that what is involved with that. You don't have to call into question the distribution itself necessarily. You just kind of know what you're getting, and then secondary to that, like any of the additional components that the developer may have chosen to include, you now have sort of a different, potentially better experience than you might have had otherwise. I think that's pretty cool.
So we know now that OBS the Studio, and then also Bottles, they're pretty much they only want you to use the Flatpak at this point as their method of distribution for user consistency. And so like, I know for those that prefer the native packages, how do you feel about that sort of a stance from developers? Do you feel like that's a kind of a lock-in, or is it kind of like a whatever? It's your playground. You fence it off how you like.
Well, I use the native package of OBS, but I can understand from a developer standpoint that they'd want that because because I believe they themselves maintain the Flatpak. I know that Snap is maintained by Snapcrafters now, I think, but so they're saying we're building this package, so this is the one that we'd rather support because we know exactly how it's built and what we've done to it. Whereas with Ubuntu, they've compiled it themselves, so they don't know how they've built it. They don't know if they've even included all the plugins with it, which they don't. So I can understand from a developer standpoint they'd want that, but for me, I've had problems with the Flatpaks and Snaps with certain things with screen capture, especially in Wayland. So I just prefer the native package because it works better.
I will say that if the ones that are making the app are packaging it in a Flatpak, it does give me more confidence to use their Flatpak, knowing that they're doing it. But I still prefer the native.
I used to use the OBS Flatpak, all the time, but then virtual camera quit working and they wouldn't fix it, and it kept giving a warning when you'd install the Flatpak and have a minus sign to it because they weren't keeping it updated. And so my viewpoint and my preference is, as long as virtual camera works, I will use the one that is the most reliable. And right now it's native.
I had an issue with that as well for a while. And it was probably last year, I think, when I had an issue. And then that's pretty much been cleaned up since. It's not been an issue since. Doesn't mean it won't be an issue in the future. But so Steve's very own, who hasn't joined us in a while, but I really do like that. You should go on Steve's streams, and you have to earn some points when you're on there. So just kind of participate, and then when he's trying to be really serious, do like the bang or the exclamation point, and then fart, and then type in fart. It's the best. It's it's even better now too. He put in a little explosion with it too. Anyway, that aside, he says OBS PPN Ubuntu's or Flatpak on any other distro for official. Native OBS is a dice roll. So that's his take on that. And he's I would call him an OBS expert. I mean, he's living it day in and day out. That's like his retirement job. And so pretty much if whatever he says about OBS, I'm pretty much going to go ahead and bite that one hook, line, and sinker.
Well, the sad part is OBS is a dice roll on any way you install it, because I've used it in Flatpak and in Bork. I used it in the native, just OBS Studio. I'm using Arch, and I've used the bin, and I've used the Git, where I had to install the OBS Git and the EKMS, the loopback Git, because they were both compatible with each other to get the virtual camera to work. So yeah, it's a dice roll all the way across the board.
And I was actually just surprised that OBS isn't recommending the repos for like Ubuntu, because they also maintain a PPA themselves for it. So I'm surprised that they don't even have that listed, because they're the ones who are building that one too. At least that's my take.
I'll also
So
add
far,
that
the one in Cassie is fine.
I'll add too that I went using Tumbleweed. I went for a while using Kdenlive native and was regularly fighting codecs. So I went with the Flatpak and no longer fought codecs. And then at some point used it for probably a year as a Flatpak. About a month ago, the Flatpak quit working. I don't remember what quit on it exactly, but I went back to the native, and now native is working like a charm. So I'm going to use whatever works.
Oh yeah, that's 100%.
Are you-
If it doesn't work, yeah. Zip Dad?
And are you open to training people how to use Kdenlive properly so it doesn't crash on them?
On Tumbleweed, it doesn't crash on me.
Okay.
I don't use it on anything else, so I don't have much to offer you.
And I think Eric brought this up before, the maintenance dependency and maintenance on Flatpaks is actually probably it's probably better with Flatpaks and using AppImages or snaps, whatever, using universal, because you don't have all those dependencies that are stuck in your system that may not get filtered out. I know over time with Tumbleweed, as the packages get old, they get booted. So there's that. I mean, not universally, but largely. So I think unless somebody has anything contrary to that, I know that I've noticed a lot of the core Flatpak components, those do get built up over time. You can remove those. I don't know if that's an issue for you, or if you guys, how closely you monitor your all the different Flatpaks you have installed.
Well, I don't have Flatpaks installed in my system, but Snap pretty much works the same way with dependencies. That they have dependency packs, and generally snaps, if nothing's using them and it detects it, it'll remove it automatically from your system. So let's just say if something's like using Qt4 and you remove that snap and nothing else is using it, generally speaking, Snapd will remove that for you if you've got it configured to do so, and generally that's the default, I think. I know I've got it configured to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't say. I don't notice that. I'd notice a bunch build up, but I don't know if it's because I have some old Flatpak. That's the reason why.
Yeah, I've actually ran into that with Flat. What was it? I had some Qt app installed, and it left the KDE libraries after I removed the application. And I didn't have anything else using them. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I had to go in and manually remove. So I guess it just keeps them there for convenience. If you install another one, it doesn't down again.
Well, I noticed that I have GNOME application platform version 45, 48, 49, and 50. So I wonder if there's got to be something that I'm keeping that's got an older version of. It requires the older version, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, Snap does the same thing with GNOME as well. Is if they're using, like, so say the GTK libraries from GNOME 45, it's going to keep that there because those snaps don't always up. They don't know. Sometimes they just continue using the same dependency library just for convenience.
I think Jinder brought up in the chat here, which you could have piped up, that all the apps I want to try, you run in DistroBox, which is another great way to. It's not a universal package, but that's almost more native, maybe.
Yeah, that's my question. I don't really know, but I do know that if I want it to go away, it's gone.
Yeah,
right.
Well, DistroBox is native because you're just basically running another distribution on top of your distribution. So it's native to that environment that you're using. I use DistroBox to run an application that is technically built for Ubuntu, but they haven't updated it in like three years, and that is Corel Aftershock Pro. They haven't updated it for Ubuntu in a long time. It doesn't work as a native package anymore because Ubuntu's changed so much, and I have to go and use the Arch. I go and install Arch as a distro box thing, and then I go and pull it down from the AUR just to try it, just to get that to run, and then I just tie it in to my. Then I use an export command to tie it into my menu system, so I can just launch it from the menu.
So Chris says, when Dolphin Gate said pointed out that to bring my attention to it, says, I forgot a step. I also run a Flatpak tac cleanup or something like that too. So maybe that's my missing step right there.
Yeah, I do
also
sometimes.
Also, I wanted to say, so Steve's very own says, he said, Flatpak, are you rolling the dice? He says he's using OBS from the AUR, which is a total dice roll. This is the OBS Studio Titan 642 build on Endeavor OS. I can't use the Flatpak because lack of plugins. I use 30 plus, and of those, 15 are Flatpak versions. So he is 30 plus. Let that sink in for just a second. 30 plus plugins is what Steve's very own uses. All right, we're running out of time here.
Using two.
Not through all the bits and pieces here. So, gaming. Apparently, there's some performance penalty for using universal applications with gaming, specifically with the Proton wine setups. So, Flatpak and AppImage are sometimes easier to get the absolute latest version, but can have sandboxing issues with GPU, controllers, or Vulkan. So that would be another reason to go with native for that. Anybody have anything else on that little bit there?
Well, for Steam, I don't notice anything. But then again, Steam, the Steam package is still using a lot of the native packaging for Proton because it's just pulling it down to your home folder. But I will say Lutris is a problem with the Snap. I've never gotten that thing to work right.
Now we're going to have some Dale testing on the gaming portion of it too here, so we'll probably get like a follow-up like we'll be doing Linux and Tech next week for sure.
Yeah,
then
I use the Steam Flatpak pretty well. It works great.
Okay. See, it's good to know. Probably also depends. I'm sure there's a lot of like just tons of factors on whether on all that too, because I mean if it's the speed and performance of your system, how what distribution you're running, other little tweaks. Arch Penguin, he probably runs Arch, I'm guessing.
Yeah, at the moment I'm on Artix, but yeah, Arch, Artix, NixOS, Debian probably.
Okay. And I think my two more points here. I think the discovery, installation, and management, that's probably my favorite thing about using Flatpaks or is the Flat Hub. I really enjoy that, like just kind of browsing through and looking at applications. Does anybody do that besides me? Yep, Eric. I know Dale.
Constantly, it's like one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah,
it speaks.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it speaks volumes to, the fact that there are so many people putting new software that I've never heard of on Flatpak, and not just like random school projects that are half finished, like real, very well done pieces of software. And I wanted to say that in case people haven't found it yet, Bazaar is a fantastic front end GUI app store for FlatHub and for Flatpak, but and it really does a fantastic. It's not only a great GUI for front end for Flatpak, but probably the best like GUI app store that I've ever used. Like I'm really enamored with it. It's impressive.
Steve's very own agrees with you that it's awesome searching for Flatpaks.
Hey, can I throw something in there too?
Absolutely.
Also, if you don't have native flat support in your distro, go to FlatHub About on the menu and then Setup, and it will tell you basically what you need to do to make it work on any of these. And on Ubuntu distributions, it will actually integrate it into the App Store. So when you go to look at apps in the Ubuntu App Store, it'll bring in everything from FlatHub. And if there's a Snap, Native, or FlatHub package, it'll give you the opportunity to pick which one you want to install.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see, I'll copy this real quick. Oh man, that's not right. On top of it, there's Discover in if you use Plasma that also has pretty good integration as well for native and Flatpak,
Yeah.
and I think it has snaps too. But what I like about Discover too is I actually have it set to prefer Flatpak over native right now.
Right.
And I can just select, but if you're just going to collect and click to install, I have it set to prefer. But yeah, the discovery, I think it's a great way to just find new applications, and then you can go down the trail of like what Mike or HipDad or Dale do is getting the native application if you don't like the Flatpak, whatever, down the road. And then and so I guess now we're down to the last point here is, so I guess, what is your mix? I think right now I'm leaning toward universal packages over native. Not saying that's the right way to do, but I think it seems to work better for me. I like AppImages for a lot of things too. There's something nice and portable about AppImages. I know they don't have any kind of sandboxing, so it's a dice roll there as well. But I mean, so I guess. Where do you fall on that, Eric? I'm curious to know, like, where do you fall on that? Is it universal or?
I'm probably 75-25% Flatpak to native package, and some of that is just convenience for doing different distro hopping and stuff. So I've using different distros but having a consistent experience with different applications and packages and stuff. So, I just moved from Pop! OS 2202 or 2204 to I'm on Cache OS right now on this laptop, and then I'm on Bluefin on my other one. And so Bluefin is an atomic distro that pretty much uses Flatpak for everything. But because I'm already comfortable with it, I've really found it to be, pretty much fine. There's been a few things that, that I haven't been able to get off of FlatHub, but anymore, because there are so many good alternatives, like I said, like you've noticed too, if you just go on FlatHub, there are just so many pieces of very good software that even if the thing you normally would use isn't available on the distro you're using, or in FlatHub, you can find something as a decent alternative. So that's pretty much where I am.
Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Well, I mean, as far as Flatpaks go, the first thing I do when I install an OS or whatever is I install Warehouse via the FlatHub website. Then I use Warehouse to install any other Flatpaks from that point.
Yeah, it's another good one too. Warehouse.
It has a backup, and you can also tell it to get rid of all the trash when you go to remove a Flatpak.
Yeah, thanks for the recommendation. In fact, I had some stuff disappear on a different system that I was worried about because they discontinued it. So I could, with Warehouse, I made some snapshots that backed them up, so in case anything happens.
That's a neat feature right there. Does Bazaar have that same sort of feature to be able to back up, take snapshots of universal applications?
That's a good question. I'll have to look. I know it has a lot of stuff built in terms of managing the library. Let me see.
Because
it's pretty good.
That's really cool.
Bazaar is a really pretty application.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think it might be more about. So I think Warehouse is definitely more capable in terms of like that type of granularity and capabilities. But yeah, Bazaar's just functional enough. I think it's great for like a new user. Like I would not hesitate at all to put Bazaar in front of a, just someone. I think that someone who would be coming from like Windows would be delighted having all this software available to them to just download and use. You know what I mean? Especially if you set it up so that they can only use like verified apps, stuff like that, make it safe. So
it also kind of feels
safer.
like Bazaar reminds me of Bazaar reminds me a little bit of the old GNOME software, or does that, or am I off base on that one?
Before. No, I mean it has a very similar GTK sort of, layout of the app itself and the different curated sections. And if you go to the one, if you just get Bazaar from FlatHub, there's Explore, Library, and Search as the three sort of sections of the app. But on Bluefin and probably some of those other Fedora Atomics, there's actually they have a tab in the front which is like curated or something, or recommended maybe, and it's a separate like fourth tab where it's the distro itself has created a page of like recommended apps, which I thought was like super cool because a lot of it from a Bluefin perspective was stuff for development and they had sort of it broken down into here's the browser you're most likely going to use, here's the so it was like a super quick way to get a bunch of the software I would be using anyway installed. So.
Yeah, 01 says Bazaar will also tell you if the app might be unsafe for other reasons, permissions, outdated runtimes, etc. I think they all do that. That's part of the app stream, I believe.
I actually donated a couple bucks to the Bazaar team because they've made so much progress in the last 6 months. I mean, if you used this app 6 months ago, it was not what it is today. Let's put it that way. And I just wanted to throw in a little something. And I just mentioned, like, I can't wait till you guys put in payment gateway, because I think what would be great is a lot of this software is really high quality, and to be able to just throw a couple bucks at something like Elementary has, I think that would be super cool. And I know FlatHub has been looking at it, and I'm pretty sure because I'm almost positive that the people who did Bazaar are very closely associated with FlatHub. That if we could see something like including the ability to donate, that would be really cool, I think. Something that's much needed.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well,
anybody else on that?
Yeah, go ahead. One thing I haven't mentioned. Try that again here, mouth. One thing I haven't heard mentioned is the update speed when using the Flatpak, because it seems to do like deltas of what you already have, and it only updates like the parts that you don't have. Because I've noticed, because I do all my updates through the command line, because I'm an old 80s DOS, Apple DOS, person, and I've always liked the command line. And I've noticed when I do updates, it'll say this Flatpak is like 300 megabytes or whatever the size is, and you're watching it increment up, and it'll be like, 30, 40, 50, 100. Okay, I'm done. And it goes on to the next one. So it must be doing some type of hashing or something where it doesn't have to do the entire file.
It could be that it's compressed too. That might be the compressed feature of it. Maybe, I don't know.
It could be compressed. Yeah, I don't know. I just noticed that it doesn't go all the way across sometimes, because sometimes it's like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60%, then done.
It's exceeding expectations in that regard, no matter whatever's going on. It's exceeding expectations.
It's an overachiever.
It's like there were some programs. I forget the name of the program, but Arch Penguin probably remembers it. There was a program that you would install, and it would stick at 46% every time you try to install it.
That would be Windows. If you go to do upgrades, Windows 11, it'll stick at 46% for a long time.
Was it Windows? I don't know. There was a Linux program that did that too.
Could be. Maybe it's a joke, some sort of an inside joke between developers.
Could be.
I don't know. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to say on like full scale for me and Swift? Haven't heard from you about the universal, like how much you do with universal versus native. Don't really care one way or the other. All answers are acceptable. No answer is acceptable too.
I'm indifferent personally.
Yeah. I think most people probably are.
Honestly, when it comes down to your basic desktop user, they don't really care. Like if you go with like my mother who has a Linux computer, she doesn't really care. As long as she hits the button that comes up, she doesn't care what kind of package it is or what's running in the background or anything like that. It's normally us Linux geeks that really care. Most people just don't, as long as it works.
Is it an MSI, a .exe? Is it a portable?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Exactly.
Nobody cares.
No, but yeah, I'm just gonna say most desktop users, which is probably 90% of newbies in Linux, they just don't care. And honestly, I don't think they should, as long as they're happy with their system and the way it's running.
It's part of the curse of Linux. You have so many different options that you have so many different ways for things to work themselves because there's so many different options.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That was redundant.
And I'll cap it off with the one and only Sean. It says, if it always stops at 42%, you would have the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So there you go. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. That was good. I need to go through the show notes, make sure I have enough links here for things for the show notes at the end. A little bit of housekeeping. Next week is an exciting week. We're going to have a double header for using baseball vernacular, I suppose. So I have the regular news flight night at night, but early in the day at 1 p.m. Eastern or whatever time it is in Europe land, or your time zone. Going to have an early edition of Linux Saloon. So if you'd like to join, that'd be great. I'll have a few topics up on the to vote on, perhaps. A bunch of things actually, a bunch of polls that need to be created now. But anyway, so keep an eye on keepinglate.com/polls, drive the conversation. That would be cool. But also, if you have any discussion ideas or distribution suggestions, application appetizer, whatever you got, poll ideas, feel free to send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com or tag myself or Eris or both in the Telegram or Discord. I did have some feedback. But I think we have to get to this next week because I think we're a little bit late right now. But it has to do with if you can't log into your system, what do you do? Well, that's a tease. We'll talk about it next week at the News Flight Night. But regular viewer and sponsor of the show, patron supporter, Advait, I think how you say his name. Anyway, so we'll get to that next week. So sorry about that. So we're going to jump off to last call. So last call for Saloon Hall. No, that's not going to say that. But anyway, anybody have anything they wanted to just like very quickly just talk about before we close it out? No, Dale, you got some things coming up? Or yeah. Hip Dad? Go ahead, Hip Dad.
I would like to see some people's viewpoints on Fluxer next week.
Fluxer. I don't even know what that is.
The alternative to Discord that will get you away from having to show your ID when Discord decides to enable it.
It's a very faithful clone.
It looks like a faithful clone.
It's still progressing. It has its little glitches here and there, but it's one of those programs that I'm probably willing to donate to when I get the money. Because you can donate in for like $50 and get similar thing to, it opens up a lot of stuff like Nitro, except you don't have to do monthly payments. You just do one payment for the year for like 50 something dollars, and you get all the bells and whistles, like 60 frames per second, that kind of thing.
And the Flatpak is what's recommended for that application, by the way.
I think that's the only way you can really get the reliable source right now.
Well, they have AppImage, Debian, RPM, tar.gz.
I don't.
By the way, Nate.
Yes.
I'm only on here because of your Saloon thing, but I pretty much moved to Fluxer.
Okay.
Yeah, the only way I access you is through the website, the Discord website. I completely removed Discord from my system.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure what to do about all that at this point. Because I can't self-host. I don't have the bandwidth to self-host a Fluxer instance. And maybe you can do it without, but...
Yeah, I don't think you...
I personally just don't have the interest or desire to do anything but Discord.
Yeah. I'm more of a Telegram sort.
Yeah.
But so Fluxer, well, we can always chat about it. What? Anybody else have anything they want to go around? They want to say, real quick?
Yeah, I sent you a link today, Nate. We talked about it a little bit. I guess you would call this an idea manager. It's called Spacesuit. And its old name is Nova. But it has a very interesting way of organizing your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. It is very interesting.
No real hierarchies in there with folders and so forth. I don't think I'm going to use it, but if it had a few more features, I probably would that I need. But guess I'll stick with Obsidian. But anyway, it's worth taking a look at.
Yeah, I think I'll put that in my links. I'll throw it in the show notes so if someone wants to check it out. So spacesuit.lightmode.io. That'll be in the show notes.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Anybody else? Anything else?
Well,
the Dales have got things going on. Yes?
Yeah, I'll be recording Distro Hoppers Digest episode. What are we up to now? I think 57, if I remember correctly. And that will be hopefully released this coming week. We're going to have a roundtable discussion on Puppy Linux with Jim GNU to Linux from the Mintcast group. He's going to be joining Majid and I to discuss that. So it's been an unrepresented distro in the past 5 or so years. So that should be a interesting episode. So the details is the www.distrohoppersdigest.org. If you do want to do the search for it in your search engine instead of typing all that in, make sure you go to the one that's distrohoppersdigest.org and not the Blogspot or others, because those are no longer maintained.
I'll have it in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, so all right. I'm on a podcast called Linux Out Loud. I think we're due to record, I think, this week. And then also have a website called cubeconnect.com. I almost published an article today. Something very silly. How you can remotely go into a Windows system to check to see if it's on secure boot and UEFI or if it's on legacy mode before you try and push updates and break the system. So that's something I kind of researched, and also how to do something similar in Linux as well. But anyway, I'll get it published here tomorrow.
Since we're talking about podcasts, I have a podcast too, Low Tech Linux. Should be able to find it on any of your podcatchers. I don't update it very often, but there's some episodes there.
Sweet. Can you get that through your website?
Maybe.
lowtechlinux.com.
Yeah, I think there's a link there. Maybe.
Cool. All right. That will be in the show notes as well. All right. So I want to thank you all for your support, however you do it, being a part of the conversation, both the Discord meeting and the YouTube stream, as well as for everyone watching the show after the fact. I want to thank you, everyone involved, making Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.